I'd like to recess this for Crystal Run project. And I know, let's see, 10 o'clock would work, because I have meetings also, committee meetings on Thursday, so 10 o'clock would work for me, and I know it would work for Walter. So would we have a quorum?
I won't be there.
I will not be.
I can't do
I'm
10.
traveling. I'll be there. I can be there.
I could do 11, I can't do 10.
I'm out.
I'll be able to be here
I'm
short.
hedging. I don't know if I have an early flight or a late flight. If I have a late flight, I can go. To be determined.
Because the little birdie told me that if you could make the 10 o'clock, you couldn't make it later. But we'd have enough in here, so you
Find
could
out
be
who the
there.
birdie is.
Ed, you could be there?
I can be there.
And I could be there, I think Sean could be there.
I'm out.
I need to
We need
be, I'm
five.
tied at 10, I could do 11.
If you got Sean, then you got a quorum.
I mean, I'll do my best to reschedule, I don't know if I can.
I can do 10 or 11.
So let's do 11 then. Could you do 11? So let's do 11. Okay. So approval of the minutes,
Make a motion.
second. All in favor? Any discussion? Okay. Bills and communication?
And I handed out the revised schedule.
I'll do it.
Second.
I'll second.
All in any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Director report?
I just wanted to mention a few things. We did receive a second payment from Holy Paving that they were required to make. And at the last meeting, I mentioned one project that still had the annual lease payment that was due, and that was paid also. So things are up to date. I wanted to make a comment, though this is sort of a funding corporation thing. With the Millennium Loan Program, we did put in what we call the Harris credits, which is that if you have high school or college students and hire them, then you get an extra benefit with your loan. And now that the summer's over, we're starting to get some of those people coming in. So some of the people who employed students over the summer are now coming in looking for their credits, and they will get them. So it's an incentive that I think is working out pretty good. And it's with the Millennium Project, so I
That
just thought the
doesn't come
board
out of
would like.
Harris's checkbook though,
I will have to give you an agenda.
right?
So I just thought the board would like to hear that something's coming of that. Those are really my comments.
Alan?
I attended the New York State Mid-Hudson Regional Economic Development Council meeting at the Sullivan County Community College this past month, and also in attendance with me was Jennifer Flatt over there. And so we're trying to get her exposed to a lot of the things that we're currently involved in, and we'll continue to do that in the way of some cross-training. Organized and attended a meeting with the college president, county legislative chair, Ira, Walter, and Mark Baez of the partnership regarding the possibility of the IDA assisting the college with a Startup New York program. And I believe later on today we're going to be discussing that at the Sullivan County Funding Board meeting. Continue to network with 2 tourism destination projects. Continue to work on the possibility of 2 new manufacturing businesses. Continue to work with a partnership concerning the retention of Sudfin Industries in White Lake. We also made a presentation at the Supervisors Association meeting over in the town of Thompson, whereby I introduced Jennifer Flatt to that organization and setting up a working relationship for Jennifer to deal with the Supervisors Association. And we talked about the IDA possibilities as it relates to our loan portfolios. And we gave a brief update, Jennifer did, concerning some of the projects that we're working on. We also presented to the Town of Bethel Board our same policy with respect to our loan portfolio, with respect to projects that we're currently working on, and also an introduction of Jennifer to that Town of Bethel board at one of their town board meetings. Tomorrow evening, we'll be over in the Town of Delaware making a presentation to the Town of Delaware Town Board meeting, Ed's board, with respect to the same policy, wanting to get out and talk about IDA policies, IDA loans, the possibility of IDA assistance, which was just something that you wanted us to continue to do. So we're doing that same thing. And a lot of this is basically something that we had talked about with respect to cross-training, not only for Jennifer, but also for both Jennifers. And in the way of the cross-training, I also conducted a meeting with both Jennifers concerning their awareness of investments that are being made on the behalf of the IDA, and how theoretically we ladder the investments, how we tie our investments into our budget needs. And so we're putting a little more emphasis on everything, on educating the entire staff on everything that we're doing across the board. And then I set up different meetings with the banks that we deal with respect to our investments, because as you know, Lisa used to do a lot of the banking and dealt with coordinating the certificates of deposit that we do, and got Jennifer involved with both banks, introduced her to both banks that we deal with locally, and gave her a pretty good education, if I don't mind saying, on that. And we're preparing our thinking for the possibility that we're going to start seeing maybe a little higher interest rate return if the tapering ever kicks in. So we're preparing for that also. We're getting to be pretty good with respect to finalizing our investment attitude. And so we continue to invest the funds in the CDs and continue to respond to inquiries concerning the possibility of IDA assistance. This morning I attended the Workforce Development Board meeting at BOCES in Liberty, whereas the president of the college, Dr. Hilgerson, also was talking about the Startup New York program and how there's a good possibility. She also talked about the IDA and us cooperatively trying to work out an arrangement to assist with the economic development of the college properties. And I guess that will be covered at our next meeting at 10:30. That's my report. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay, old business. We have two issues. One actually started before, so I may ask you, Harold, to take over. The Liberty Storage, my understanding is that this really was pre-approved already when they came in initially, that there were 3 buildings that they were going to?
Well, I'll give a little history if you want.
Okay.
Okay. The original application to the IDA came in 2003, and that was for the first building that was built there. Soon in 2004, they came for approval for the Phase 2, which was the second building. And now they're looking to do the third building. All 3 of those buildings were in the original Liberty Planning Board site plan review. But we've looked at each one individually. So now they have, and you received the application that they sent us. It's for the third building. It's for 14,400 square feet. Because we're looking at this anew, I have to go through the short environmental assessment form. The Liberty is doing it themselves, but they're not going to have it completed until October. So we have to do it now. It was in your agenda packet, a copy of the unlisted actions, and if you'd like, I can go through it right now.
I'm out on this.
What we're going to do in the resolution is we're going to, because it's an expansion, we're going to amend the documents. We're going to give them a sales tax letter for the expansion that they're doing, and that's what they're looking for right now. They expect to start work in October after they get Liberty approval. So, if I can go through the short environmental assessment form, it's 2 pages. The first one was done by the applicant. and I'll start now. Liberty Storage LLC, it's located in the town of Liberty. It's on Route 52, opposite Stevenson's Garden Center, east of the Village of Liberty, and it's an expansion. It's the construction of a third self-storage building that will be approximately 14,400 feet. It's on 4.9 acres. It will comply with existing zoning. Land use in the vicinity is residential, commercial, and open space. The surrounding properties consist of completed storage facility, commercial garden center, mobile home parks, bungalow colony, private homes. It does involve permit approval by the Town of Liberty Planning Board site plan review, which they expect to do in October. And it does not, currently, the expansion project does not have that approval yet. It will not, the action will not involve requirement of any modification. So it's the page 2 really that is to completed by the lead agency, which is us in this. Will the action exceed any type 1 threshold? No. Will the action receive coordinated review? No. We're doing this on our own, they're doing their review on their own also. Could the action result in any adverse effects associated with the following? Existing air quality, surface or groundwater quality or quantity? My answers for all of these are going to be no. Aesthetic, agricultural, archaeological, historical? No. Vegetation, fauna, fish, shellfish, or wildlife species? No. The community's existing plans or goals as officially adopted? No. Growth, subsequent development, or related activities? No. Long-term, short-term, cumulative, or other effects not identified in the other items? No. Other impacts? No. Will the project have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No, because it's not one. Is there or likely to be any controversial issues related to this, any environmental impact? No. So my recommendation on this is that the action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. And if the board agrees with that, then we can move forward. It's expansion on property that's already been disturbed, and it's an existing use there. So,
A motion of negative deck on unlisted action.
I'll move it.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
I want to note that I'm out on this.
Yes, please make
let the
sure.
record show that.
Yeah.
and that's because you're a supervisor.
supervisor.
Remember, we have to now put why.
For the town.
Okay.
Okay, vote, all in favor? Okay, now,
So that was both okay with the assessment form and approval of the resolution?
oh, we didn't do that.
No.
That
Okay,
was
we didn't
just-
do that.
That was just a
Just
negative
the
deck.
assessment.
Now the
Okay.
resolution?
I saw the resolution,
Yeah.
throw it back here.
A motion on the
Jennifer, I just
resolution?
have one question.
Yes.
It's gonna create one full-time job?
Yes, I think that's what they said, yes.
Well, why don't we have a motion, and then we'll have discussion on it? Okay, so a motion on Liberty Storage. Motion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
now discussion.
Yes,
Okay.
Well,
one,
one full-time job.
yes.
And they've lived up to all of their commitments.
Yes.
And the other one, yeah.
You know what's interesting? What's interesting with this one, because I questioned Walter about whether they're going to have any impact on property taxes. And he said, actually, if they did 485B, they would get more property tax relief than they're going to get through us. Because now the project is so far along the line that they're only getting like 20%, where if they would have gone 485B, they would have gotten 50%. So actually they're, in that regard, paying a little more than they would have had to. So
Okay,
that's how it works sometimes.
vote on the motion, all in favor? Aye.
And just let the record show that Charlie's out on this.
Okay.
Supervisor.
And then you get some.
Board is
How many do we need?
Four, please.
4.
Need more?
Anything?
One job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is basically a refinance for Rolling V. Since the title is in our name, we have to approve it. So So a motion to approve rolling fee. Then we'll have discussion. Second?
Is this not for their premise in Liberty? Is it for Fallsburg? Where is it?
It's
No, they're
full.
in Paulsburg.
Well, I think it's a combined thing. I think the way it was explained last time, or at least the way I saw it on the email, was that it's more than one property. It's refinance, right?
Yes.
Probably take everything.
Because they have a place in Liberty. I don't know if I should stay out of that too, but let's stay out of it.
Okay. Doug?
Clean it down, up that.
As long as you got it close.
Yeah. Let's
Glad I
note for the
came.
record that Charlie.
Is that it?
I don't want any question.
That's fine.
So you could have taken your painkillers. Yeah,
That's right.
Good news is there's a lot going on in Liberty.
Yeah.
Good
That's
thing.
fantastic.
We just
Right.
need you to sign a bunch of stuff.
You want to wait?
Thank you.
So, we did have, any discussion on the item?
This was discussed last week.
Okay, call the vote. All in favor?
Who moved that?
It was Harold's.
Harold and Steve.
Harold.
Please. Yes, please.
Big.
Yes.
Yeah, go by the agenda.
The
Budget.
Yeah, budget, go ahead, thanks.
Okay, what I gave you in your agenda was our draft 2014 budget for the IDA. We're required to review this. It's due by November 1st, so I thought if the board got it now, they have a few weeks. We will approve it in October. We are not required any longer to have a public hearing, but we are required to do some outreach. So I still do the public hearing, and that will be on October 1st. So I thought this would give the board some time to look over the budget. If they had any questions, we could review that before the next meeting, if there was anything that, I mean, pretty much we're keeping it right in line of where the budget was in the past. I think one of the notable things to bring to the board's attention that when it regards revenue, there's a good amount now coming out of our savings account. And this is all due to the states taking away the IDA's ability to do bonding for not-for-profits. So on page 2, revenues, you'll see money coming out of our savings, and that's,
Do you have extra
Where's-
copies?
Yes, I do.
Because neither Harold nor I got it.
When you say revenue from savings, you mean we're dipping into savings to fund our expenses?
that's correct.
To put it bluntly.
I mean, I want to just be clear on what we're talking about.
Jennifer, the line item on miscellaneous on project fees, 2013, we budgeted 20,000. Our final came in at 12,500.
What are you looking at? What,
I'm
under,
looking at the draft, I'm looking on the miscellaneous,
The last line.
project fees. One time.
one-time
153.
project fees,
Yeah.
1250, you're saying? Well, because we didn't have any projects.
It's a big shortfall.
That's
Some
the
years,
savings dip.
you know, it's hard to say. Like, look at 2012, where we received a lot of money. That was the Concord project. And then, you know, until the dip in the economy, we had been each year sort of increasing those fees. And now over the last 3 years or whatever, it's been sort of up and down with the amount we're receiving there. I'm guessing what I did was I took an average over the last 20 years, and I put the 20,000 down again as being an average that we usually receive. We went back and looked, like, let's say the red meat facility, how much the IDA has expended without reimbursement. We've expended over 167,000 into the red meat. So far, we've put 257,000 into the red meat project. So we
100 was
have,
from the county.
we haven't even used that yet. That's still sitting.
Well, we advanced some of that money, right?
Right.
To get it going. Are we gonna be reimbursed?
Well, we'll see how much gets reimbursed of some of that stuff. Hopefully, we will get reimbursed of
I mean,
some.
that was,
Yeah.
I thought that was the idea.
Jennifer, health insurance, is a 60% increase from 2012 to 2014. Is that-
Let me just look. Health insurance. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what part of that is. Part of that is my health insurance through the county here. And then, well,
I assume Jen?
the new amount
gonna be for
includes Jen's health insurance. Now, when Lisa was here, she had decided she didn't want health insurance. So the numbers sort of stayed just whatever I had. So now it's almost adding another person to the health insurance, so that's what happened. So you see a big difference.
I think also coming up, which I don't see on here, but we've been doing each year, is Todd Erling with the Hudson Valley. I think the third year is this year.
Well, that's coming out of the Funding Corporation's Millennium Fund.
Okay.
So you don't even see that in the Funding Corporation's budget because it's coming out of a loan fund that's just sitting there.
That's why I
But yes,
don't see it on here.
we're in the
Good reason. But I know,
third year.
I guess we'll discuss that in the next meeting, but.
We're in the third year of
Yeah.
that they've just been paid. So if you want to look this over, and at any time in the coming weeks, you want to call me with any questions, both Jen and I worked on it, we can both answer questions on how to go forward with this. And at the next meeting, the October meeting, we will have to approve it then.
There's actually,
I just was wondering if there was any reason why that, we estimated in 2013 we were going to be using a lot of savings, but we didn't estimate anywhere near what we needed to use this service. And I see we're up in that next year, so that we will be maybe more comfortable with that number. That the 75 was what we budgeted in 2013.
Yep.
What we really needed was 147, but that's final 2013. When's our fiscal year? Is it
End of the year.
end of the year?
Calendar
So
year.
we're not.
We're making a guess with that, but I
That's
think Jen did a good job doing some estimates.
That's a
for that year.
projection for year end,
Yeah.
Yes.
obviously.
Right.
So it's an odd number because it picks up everything
Yes.
that,
But I think that we have seen in the last couple of years that this is the trend, that we've been dipping into the assets that we have. I was just surprised that we were not closer. But we had a lot of expenses from the red meat this year.
So we had
that also,
some large one-time fees that
Yeah.
would make a difference.
We need projects.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, this isn't sustainable.
You see that, and I see that, we all see that. Not sustainable, but we're all, like every business around, we're hoping that, 2008, what happened then doesn't continue. We do start to see. a
now,
lot more activity.
one thing we can do is an IDA cannot gift money to Funding Corporation or other agencies, but the Funding Corporation as a LDC can gift its money to the IDA, and they received the big fee from the Center for Discovery when we last did that. So there's always a possibility of shifting that money over to the IDA, which I think was part of the thought there.
Which was the way it used to be done, because there was no funding corporation.
Right, it used to just come to us until the state decided that IDAs can't work on those things anymore, but still allowed local development firms to do it. So there is money sitting in that account that could move over to us.
there's actually one more resolution I want to pass around, and this is for the Catskill Brewery. I think everybody's aware of,
I wasn't gonna do next on Thursday.
I think Thursday may be busy, so we'll get it out of the way. It's expiring.
This is
I didn't even bring it.
This is just an extension for sales tax. They had some construction issues, now they're moving along nicely, my understanding is, and this is due to expire September 30th. This will be the second time that they're requesting, but
And this wasn't the reason, wasn't it, having
There-
getting material, getting the steel?
I think this, I'm not sure exactly, but I think the steel person went belly up. So,
But they have a new vendor now.
yes,
moving
and then it's
forward.
moving along.
I'll make the motion.
Not in Liberty, right?
Not in Liberty.
Okay.
Came here for
Second?
I don't
Discussion?
have any signatures on this page, on
No, not for those.
this. Huh? You'll get me on Thursday?
Not for those.
Oh, we don't need them.
Yeah.
So what do you need? Need one?
Just all those in favor?
I'll take
Yeah,
them.
yeah, exactly. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Public comment, and then we'll,
I have a question.
yes.
Regarding the red meat bids that are going out and being worked on, I guess, at this point, are you going to be using the PP&S building plans that were Grandin endorsed as the plans for that construction?
Yes. But no bids are going out at this point. We're not at that stage yet.
I just wanted to know that those plans were the ones that they were going to be putting out as the constructed bids.
We're only putting up the box at this point, the frame. We're not doing any inside construction.
Okay, but it would still comply, just the four walls and the roof would still be in
It'd still be
compliance
able
with
to
that
put the grand in it.
PPS, okay.
Any other public comment? Motion to
Oh, I
rescind.
have one important thing for the record. Mr. Gold is celebrating a very special birthday, and you won't see him on the 20th. And I want to wish him a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nine,
Wow.
All those September babies, yes.
what number?
90. Wow.
Wow.
It's a number. It's just a number, but it's a big one.
It's gonna hurt his dating. We can't get.
Oh, great.
That's the new business.
Motion to recess to 11 o'clock on Thursday? Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.